Welcome back to Razmafzar TV. Hi, Bede. How are you doing today?
It's great to talk to you. How are you?
Thank you very much. We are going to continue our talk on Russian museums, and specifically, what we are going to have. We stopped last time with Ottoman arms and armor. Am I correct, Bede?
Yeah, yeah. Some brilliant pieces.
Okay, just a second, please. Let me just see what. Do you see something, or it's not working?
I've got a white screen.
Yeah.
I've got the thumbnails down the side with a white screen in the middle,
Yes.
so I hadn't quite got
I
there.
need to do it again and find this. I don't know what happened to this document. Hold on a second, please. Okay, let me go here again and try to share. I don't know why this happened. Okay, now I think this is work. It is working now. You see it now,
Okay.
right?
Yep. We've got things. We've got things.
Yes, exactly. This we all talked about the Persian ones last time.
Yeah, yeah.
Not last time, but
Beautiful.
yeah. And then we went to there were so many Persian items here, right? And we went to Central Asian. Remember, Pete? Were also beautiful.
Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah,
like
and
that.
then the
That was nice.
Ottoman, right? We went to the Ottoman ones. Beautiful. Let me just see last time, so you can check these our discussions on the channel with Pete. We talked about them all. Yes, and those North African as part of Ottoman Empire back then. Okay, we should group there. Oh, sorry. Now we go to Caucasian beat. Okay, so
Excellent.
we
Yeah,
start here. Some of the items we discussed them, but now we are going to talk
yeah,
about
yeah.
all of them. So look at these beautiful
Oh,
Kinjal
it's
Kame.
taken up. Oh, it's a double one.
Yes, double
Oh,
one.
yes, yeah. I just noticed that the tip of the top part fits into the tip of the bottom part, and
Yes,
it's got keyhole slots for the rivets to connect.
yes.
Yeah.
It reminds of
19th.
those Chinese weapons, right? Like
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking of. It's a 19th century thing to because by the 19th century, the technology to make these was quite advanced. But the idea started centuries earlier. But most of the ones you see are 19th century, whether they're in the Caucasus or Turkey, Iran, Afghanistan, China. I don't know. There was this fad for complicated weapons. I'm not saying they wouldn't work. This would work perfectly well,
yeah, yeah. They will.
but do you need them?
Yeah.
It's I don't know. It's like whale
I mean,
tails
if you
on
want to use
Volkswagen
dual
Beetles.
game, you can have one game here, one game
Well,
here.
yeah. Well, this is true. This is true.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's overkill. The fact that the actual workmanship is brilliant. I mean, they've made this. I'm sure I've handled a couple of weapons like this. One was a big um Zira book type armor piercing dagger, but it was that big. It was uh watered steel inlaid with gold. It looked like one big dagger with a massive diamond section armor piercing point. But if you tapped it the right way, it'd pull apart into two daggers. And even the inside panel was on both sides, it's watered steel. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, but it's more for show than it is for use. I
Mhm.
mean, technically, yes, you can use it in a dagger in each hand, and if
Yes.
you're really good and you
Yes.
practice a lot, that's quite effective.
Yes.
But
I
it's
need to
really to
say,
show
Pete,
off.
some time ago, a collector contacted me, and she had a Persian card made of beautiful patterned crucible steel. But this was a card like that, so it could
Yeah.
come in half. But unfortunately, so I wrote an analysis for her. So she wanted a certificate analysis, compare it to other parts in my research. But I have to say it here. Okay, I'm not dropping her name. She didn't want it to be published, sadly. Really sadly, I have to
Oh,
say. You see, because you know that, Pete, I need to say, guys, with Bede, we are trying to record what we have in museums, and which is a good thing.
Yeah.
And in my books, I try to publish also from Iranian museums and also other
Mm.
museums and private collections, major private collections. If we do not publish, we lose a point of reference because the other colleagues can
Yeah,
look, you know?
the whole world benefits from publications like this because that adds to the shared knowledge
Yeah.
of both experts and the general public. And look, I don't know what the reasons were, but for people like that, they should rethink um, that whatever that there is in their collection that's been authenticated and studied, and that the knowledge of that is of benefit to everybody in the field.
Yeah.
And it's you're you're doing good for the other people interested in the field, but also whenever anything you own is published with a good study attached to it, it increases in value.
Yes.
I mean, if you decide, oh, this is this is a really nice card and it's worth now 35,000 US dollars. You get that published where people study it and say, oh, this is this type of watering in the steel, and this is walrus ivory in the grips, and it's been done, and this is historically from this period. All of these factors then elevate the value of your possession. One of my friends had a painting. It was a very valuable painting. It got included in a major exhibition of the artist's work, and it increased in value 4 times. That
Oh,
was a lot of money.
oh my God.
So getting your pieces published is in your best interest financially. It adds to your prestige because you were smart enough to buy this. I mean, you had good taste. This reflects on the person that owns it,
Yes.
and and it also increases the general knowledge of people in the world about these things, and that increases interest and interest. It's always for the good. The only time it's not for the good is when you shouldn't have it. I've met people who have had items that were of questionable legality in their origin.
Mm.
But now auction houses are much more careful. And I mean, obviously, some people have items, and I'm not thinking of Iranian arms and armor or Turkish arms and armor or anything like that,
Mm.
but I'm thinking of sculptures and things like that that were looted,
Yeah, they were looted. Yes, yes, they were looted.
and therefore they own them, but they're not sure whether they'd be able to keep them if it was public knowledge. And that uncertainty is very difficult to deal with. Um, Museums in the US, in Australia, in Europe have had to repatriate
Yes, yes,
pieces to Turkey, to Cambodia,
yes.
to India, because they
Africa,
were,
in Berlin, they
oh,
sent back to
Africa,
Africa.
yeah.
Lots of
And
money.
all, think of all the South American and Central American
Oh
countries
God.
where things have been looted, sold, and
Indeed, on this
so
channel, we talked about some of them which are kept in Spain now. Remember that?
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's. I understand you may not know for sure whether the thing you own you really should own, but ultimately it's a matter of morals to say, well, I'll publish this. If it turns out that it was looted, then I lose it. But I get two things out of it. It's published and I'm the owner at the time, so my name becomes famous. And if it has to be returned to somebody and I do it willingly, then I get a name for being an honest and upright person.
Yeah, true.
And I mean, that kind of thing, maybe not as valuable as it was a few years ago, but that kind of thing is important. For if you're a collector and people know that you're honest, that you'll pay a fair price, that you'll acknowledge that this person, owned it before and looked after it and all this kind of stuff, people are more likely to want to deal with you. I remember I heard a story, and I don't know whether it's true. A dealer sold a beautiful Indian Qajar
Mm.
to a very, very famous scholar who was working for the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And years later, he showed a picture to somebody, and they said, "Oh, that's such and such. Oh, that's worth, like $120,000. How much did you sell it for?" And he said, 30. He was shocked. But the guy that bought it from him left it in his will to the museum. So it wasn't that he was trying to cheat him or anything. When the guy said, "I've got this, I want $30,000 for it," he said, "Yeah, here's $30,000." I mean, not many people would say, "Oh, it's worth a lot more, I'll give you $100,000." No, that's not going to happen in the real world. But the fact is that neither one of them was a crook,
Yes.
and either one of them could be um, trusted. Well, not the dead one because he can't do anything, but the live one could be trusted to do his best with things like this.
Yes.
I, from the person that sold the dagger, I was going to buy a pair of Ottoman stirrups, and we'd organised the payment and everything like that. And we got an email back and said, "Well, the deal's off." And it turned out somebody had recognised the Ottoman stirrups from a catalogue from a museum in 1910 in England,
Mm.
and they'd been stolen.
Yeah,
So he had to give them back.
that's right.
And but he's an honest man.
Yes.
He did give them back. I
Yes.
mean, there are a lot of people out there, and we've talked about them privately, who clearly know they're selling stolen goods.
Yes, yes, they do. They do, unfortunately. They do.
But when you come to collections like this, where the goods, the daggers, the swords, the jewels, whatever, are gifts between one government and another, there's no taint at all. This is
No.
all, obviously people sometimes worry about the legitimacy of governments. And you only have to look at the Koh-i-Noor in England, where did such and such have the right to give it to such and such, who then gave it to Queen Victoria or whatever. And that's an argument that could be fought quite strongly in a court. But in this case, there's paperwork.
Yeah.
Now, in the case of the Caucasus, maybe some of it is war booty,
Yeah.
and therefore maybe there might be an argument that you could give it back. But a lot of it were gifts given by various rulers to the Tsar to make him happy so he wouldn't invade their country. Of course, he did, but,
And Bede, look
different
at the
Tsars, different
scabbard
times.
shape made of walrus ivory.
I love those little shapes. It
Yes.
is the perfect way to finish off a scabbard. If you're making a scabbard, it's basically a ball with a pin on it, and you drill a little hole in the base of the wooden scabbard. That part of the scabbard's solid, and you glue it in, and it finishes off the scabbard perfectly. And
Perfect.
when you use a metal shape, that adds weight to the scabbard, which you might want. I mean, look at the Shashka scabbard in the background.
Yes.
But when you do this, you make a very light scabbard, which is suitable for wearing on your belt without too much trouble. It's really,
Very nice.
I've seen quite a few, like even peshkabs with
Yes.
little ivory balls on the end of the scabbards, and they look so nice. This is a Caucasian style of helmet, which is not a mazurka with a flat top or a
Yes.
flat conical top, but not a full helmet either. It's kind of in between. Um, I like the little hoop on the top of the finial, so you can hang it off your belt or something when you're not wearing it.
Yes.
It's a it's an old idea. The Romans had like little things on the back of the neck guards of
Yes.
their helmets, so you could uh, tie a thong through it and hang it on the back of your pack when you went for a march, because nobody wanted to wear the helmet all the time. But but of course, the other advantage of that is you could tie a tassel or ribbons to it or anything.
Look
So
at
you
the
look,
riveted rings, Bede.
oh, they're beautifully made, aren't they?
Hmm. Really?
See, I wonder, this is something I don't know, and people might, make a comment about it. A lot of these old armors, the rivets are very smoothly integrated into the ring, and there's not like a big floppy piece where you hammer it flat to make the hole to put the rivet in. And I wonder, is that because they were originally made that way? Or if you have something like this and it's worn for a couple of 100 years, do all the rough bits get rubbed off and it looks really smooth? Because this looks so smooth and nicely done. I mean, you can see the overlaps on some of the rings clearly where they haven't been kind of forged welded together when the rivet was done. I don't know. I'm looking at these are
To be
fairly
honest,
flat
I
rings.
handled many of them, and I have always the feeling they made them that way, Bede.
I think they did.
Yes.
I think it would be hard, but as I say, I don't know. Your instinctive feeling is this is the way they made them because they're making in a workman's lifetime, he may have made hundreds of suits of mail.
Because the reason I'm
So,
saying this is because when you look at the modern riveted mail, also well-made one, which hold for fighting, you can always see a difference. You can see all those openings. You can still see lots of these, right? Rivets. They were, when you handle the antiques, they're all as if they were one. And I mentioned that I also handled riveted mail from Qajar period, mid Qajar
mhm.
period, not early. They also look like that, smooth.
So the
Um,
skill wasn't lost. It was
Yes.
still
And the
alive.
thing is, although it's not so much time to say, okay, maybe you from Safavid period, it rusted, then it integrated, it looked, you know what I mean? The
Yeah.
look changed. The time frame is not that long. So I think they did it in a different way, Beat. In a different way.
Yeah, well, I think this is probably true of everywhere where mail was common, that the skill of the workman is much higher than we'd think because we think, oh, this is really repetitive. But the thing is, you're in a workshop. You've got a master, you've got apprentices, you've got specialists in various things, or you send it out like the gold work. You send that out to a jeweler. You don't do it in the armorer's
Read
shop.
what we are going to do soon after it's published end of this year, the second book on Misal Garash's collection, and there he acquired many Persian mail, different
Oh, so you've
rings.
got a
We are going to
big
talk
selection.
about them. Big
Yeah,
comparisons we're going to make.
yeah.
Different rivets, different river heads, different way of attachments, sizes, and one thing which is very nice, one mail armor. It's also short sleeve. It's not long sleeve, short
Yeah.
sleeve, but it covers, yes, above your knee. Every
Mhm.
ring is riveted, clear, but inscribed.
Yeah.
Every
There's
ring.
a I think there's a couple of those in Russian collections and a
Yeah.
couple and mostly Iranian in origin,
Yes.
but in Russian collections, in Turkey and possibly in Western European
Yes.
collections, because then I know there are Russian ones with really big flat rings with beautiful engraving on the rings.
Yes.
And you're thinking 10, 15, 20,000 rings. That's a lot of stamping
The
to do
reason,
that again.
Pete, the reason is, as you know it, both we both know it. Arms and armor collections in general, and it goes also for Japanese. It goes everywhere: Persian, Ottoman, Chinese, whatever, even European. Normally, generally, arms and armor collectors collect swords. Normally,
Yeah.
and they think sword, 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 right? And they completely, in the past, they used to ignore armor. So when I came to Misal Garashi, I told him, "Why do you always collect swords?" And he said, "Swords or daggers, right?" And he said,
Yeah.
"Can you just please collect some other things?" So I encouraged him to buy this high quality armor. Because, Pete, what is the study of swords if we do not have antique armor? You agree with me? I mean,
Exactly. It's like having an equation and you've only got one side of it. You don't have the other side. How do you make sense? without
And
knowing
then
both sides of
exactly,
this.
and from other ports, it gives us to study the real armor, not reproduction, real armor, how they
Yeah.
were made, which is valuable, which we're going to do soon, I'm sure. And then the second thing, which is also important, I told Mr. Garashi this. Think about it. All those heavy shamshir you have, 1 kilo 400 grams, 1 kilo 700 grams. They're not meant for a man who is in a gambeson. You don't need such a
No,
shamshir against a guy in a
no,
gambeson, right? You know that, Pete.
no.
You don't need that, right?
Yeah, a sharp 900-gram shamshir will cut through any amount of padding.
Exactly, exactly. So,
Yeah.
and then I told him, so that's why we need to see what is the response to such shamshirs. And this is very valuable. So I also encouraged him to buy, for example, I hope he's going to do it soon, like matchlocks, flintlocks, percussion cap, because,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
all in interaction we can do the studies. Then we can say, okay, char ayne, thick char ayne, we discussed it before that, or this
Yeah.
and that. If only we do one-sided, because we love, for example, only Shamshir. I mean, you know what I mean.
Mhm.
What is the response to
Oh,
Shamshir?
yeah, yeah. But every field starts out with a narrow focus and gradually broadens out.
Yes,
As well, first of all, say you're just looking at swords and you're interested in swords of a certain period. After a while, you start to run out of new swords because there's only so many that have survived. So you've got to either stop collecting or broaden your interest. So then maybe axes, maybe spearheads,
yes,
maybe armor. But what that does is it starts out in a very limited view. As it broadens out, the experience that you got handling the swords and measuring the spearheads and all this, then when you're looking at the armor, you've got a much better idea of what the armor's meant to do.
yes,
And of course, there's a problem in reenactment, say sport reenactment, where you're wearing armor so you can fight. Now you're not using sharp weapons, but you're still experiencing a lot of force. So your armor is made to absorb that force because modern people want to survive the bouts that they're fighting. They don't want to die. In ancient, well, not ancient times, but old times, medieval times, and that people took a lot more risks than we would. Life,
yeah,
it's trite to say life was cheap, and when you consider how poor medical support was, things were pretty bad. But people were prepared to take those kind of risks. I mean, I've read a book about Spanish tournaments during the late Middle Ages and Renaissance, and the potential for death and serious injury was really high,
yes,
and people accepted this. Maybe because tomorrow you might catch the plague and die. Life was precious while it was going on, so you did the things that really mattered to you. Today it's different. Anybody that takes part in a joust, and I mean I know a few people that do it, and they're very serious, and they take a lot of precautions, and they try to make things as authentic as they can. But at the end of the day, nobody wants to die,
yeah. Of course, it's a different thing. I
and
agree.
if somebody dies, that's the end of that. That
That's
will be banned.
that.
But in the Middle Ages, if somebody dies, you just found somebody else. It was bad luck. It wasn't. They didn't think it through. I'm not saying the medieval attitude was right. It was just a little bit more extreme than ours.
Yes, absolutely.
And when you look at armor,
Yes,
see one of the things, and I saw this. I think it was on an internet thing where he was reviewing a book
yes,
talking about the British in India fighting
yes, yes.
um, Indian people wearing mail, and the British were fighting with 18th century, 19th century swords,
Mhm.
and they're not used to fighting people who have armor on.
Yeah,
And the mail was useless against a gun, but it worked really well against a sword. So it was worth wearing another 15 kilos worth of stuff. Because when you got close up with people, that might save your life. We think in absolutes. If armor doesn't work against one thing, it's not worth having. But mail armor was used for a really long time because it mightn't protect you against a bullet, but in a knife fight or a sword fight, it might
Yeah,
save your life.
yeah,
And you
absolutely.
don't care if you've got a broken bone out of it. If you're still alive, you're still alive.
I
And
agree. Yes,
theoretically, the other guy isn't.
yes,
So I think we take our we've got to readjust our viewpoint about how these things work. My answer to a lot of armor is uh, if you're 150 meters away and you shoot an arrow at a guy with this armor on, will it hurt him? If it doesn't, the armor's worked.
yes,
If you get within 50 meters and you shoot an arrow and it goes through the armor, which it could with mail, well, that's why he tries to keep you further away.
yes,
Oh, that's a nice quiver. That's in the
yes,
Tartar style, as is the sword,
yes,
as is the arrowheads.
yes,
It's yeah, because there's a lot of, I mean, the Caucasus. There were Tartar groups in the north of it, and it had a strong influence on the Crimean Tatar
yes.
regime as well. But
Look at
isn't
the
that
tip,
beautifully made?
please. Look at the tip of the sword.
Yeah, I've seen those tips.
It's like that
They
long.
look like a broadhead until you get really close. Oh, you're talking about the sword. Oh, yeah, this is a characteristic
Yeah,
of Tartar swords that goes back to the 14th century.
yeah.
There's a Polish book on sabers in Polish, so I can't tell you the name offhand, that has a whole group of these excavated from Golden Horde um, settlements. And that style, first of all, that is classic. This is what those swords are meant to look like.
Yes. Let me
Uh,
see
the
the
hilts,
handle.
everything is, yeah, this is beautifully done.
Look at it.
They were so well thought of that I think the Polish king Jan Sobieski had one made for him, a really spectacular looking one. So this was well thought of at the time, but its usage goes from the 14th century to the 19th century. I mean, this is a long-lived type of sword, different from the shamshir, diamond section tip, probably two-handed stabbing
Mhm.
to force the tip in, but the rest of the time you could use it like a normal saber. I think it cut quite well even to the end, even though
Yeah.
it had a quite wide tip.
Let me see if I have more
Um,
pictures of it.
the
Oh,
fish
I
skin
don't.
covered hilt.
Look at this part of the shamshir.
Yeah, so it had a proper yeoman on it. They're
Yes.
really nice swords. I've never seen one of these in person. I've seen really good photographs of them.
Let me see if I
Oh,
have
this
more
is
pictures. No, I don't. Okay, no, I don't. So it has a
yeah,
Yelman, and this, and a Yelman. Yeah.
yeah. That
And
is a
now
beautiful
this is you
quiver.
for you beat.
Yeah, this is my idea of good fun. It's really funny about these. If you look at them carefully, you see that chain and decorative bit that's hung across the outside face of the quiver. If you look really carefully, you can see an extra hole above the trailing edge and an extra hole below the leading edge. I think most of these originally had two sets of chains. And of course, they're made of silver and gilded silver
This
and
one
all
you
this kind of
mean?
stuff.
This hole? This?
Yeah, that one. And there's another one. If you look down the pointed end of the top of the quiver, you'll
Mm-hmm.
see another one there.
Yeah, here. Oh,
No,
here.
no, further up, right towards the top.
Right toward the top. Ah.
Uh, I mean, let's the mouth of the quiver. Look at the mouth of the
Ah,
quiver
here,
and go
here.
down. No, there's another one. There's one wrong. This is really hard to point out. I can't point it out. Uh,
Okay.
there's a whole. So see the bottom end of the chain,
Yes.
then go left and then up slightly, and you'll find another hole.
Here.
Yes.
Ah, I saw that. Yes. Here. They
Yeah.
described it well. Here
Yeah.
up to
So
here.
so the thing is, did they mount this first one way and then change it, or did they have two mounted?
Mm.
And I really don't know. This is uh I've made a quiver of this shape
Mm-hmm.
for Dr. Grayson many years ago, and they're a really nice quiver. They sit really well. Um, they're very functional. But the chains are almost purely decorative, I think. There is, to some extent, they stop the arrows from flapping around when you put them in that front pocket there. But a lot of these, they've got metal fittings on the front pocket, so the front pocket may be um,
Mm.
decorative rather than functional. The original quivers, it was functional.
Yeah.
You see, they really have a feeling for adding metalwork to the quiver without degrading its function,
Yeah.
if you know what I mean.
Yes.
The metalwork on the bottom of the quiver, which is the extreme right side,
Yeah.
that would be riveted directly to the wooden base inside the quiver. You can see the shadow of the wooden base on the leather above that.
Yes.
So and the piece riveted, the big V-shaped piece in the middle, is riveted to the top of the pocket. Now, maybe the pocket is no longer functional, and
Yes.
that's just decorative to draw your eye to that shape that everybody saw as normal in a quiver. Or
Yes.
maybe it is. It's hard to say. The big round decoration in the middle of the left part of the picture would make it very difficult to put arrows in that pocket. So, and it's in it's en suite with the two suspensory knobs. So I don't think it was added later. I think this is part of the design. Now the
Yes.
metal fittings. This could have been a quiver that would belong to somebody famous, and somebody said, well, this is such and such a quiver. Let's put all this metalwork on it and we can use it in parades and we can still
Yes.
say we've got Osman Bey's quiver or whatever.
Yes.
So I don't know, but it's really nicely done. And the design work, the raised metalwork, you can see the wooden base covered in red
Yes.
leather
Yes.
sticking out
The
the
wooden
bottom there.
base here. Yes.
And look at how strong those broadheads are. They have armor piercing points. Which, when you think about it, why has the broadhead got an arm-piercing point? We don't know who we're going to shoot. Crimean Tartar bows were very heavy. They shot big arrows, and they were meant to do serious damage.
Yes. True.
Yeah, nicely made. And again, you've got a good shot of the yeoman on the sword as well.
Yes.
Um,
Very nice.
Even though the hilt of that sword is beautifully made, it's got a feeling of utility, of practical design.
Yes.
There's no excess fullers or anything. This is gilding and yellow, I think, isn't it?
Yes. Yellow. Yes.
Yeah. I love these quivers. I really do. They're
Beautiful.
sometimes listed as Caucasian, they're sometimes listed as Tartar, they're sometimes listed as Russian, because there's some really nice ones in I think the Kremlin. I'm
Yes.
not sure. There's quite a few in the West as well, like in I think there's one or two in Dresden.
Yes.
Um, I remember from the catalogue seeing this is with those raised ridges forming, like
Yes.
um, concentric um, patterns following the outline of the quiver. It's really nice when you do it. When you actually make a quiver like that, it's quite striking to the eye when somebody's wearing it next to you. It really stands out.
Yes.
And you can see the belt hook as well, I was going to say, but that's unnecessary. So that's a kind of, uh, that's more a Turkish bow than a Tartar bow,
Mhm.
and possibly too small. Um, for Normally you would expect to see a setback handle in a Tartar style bow, which were popular in the Caucasus
Yes.
because you had all these people nearby that knew how to use them properly.
Yes.
Um, but hey, Turkish bows were popular all over the place. So you
Yes.
might have had a Turkish bow you really liked. So it doesn't matter that you're a Tartar. And yeah, see the bow case. It follows the design of the quiver.
Yes.
Um, Very nicely made. You can see, like bow cases we make now. It's slightly open on the top edge, so when you put the bow in, it kind of grips it.
Yes.
Um, Really nice work. I mean, that looks very plain leather, but to a leather worker, you kind of see, oh, this has all been done this way and that way, and yeah, that's not easy.
Mm.
There's a whole thing in Mongolia today of embossing leather with metal stamps. So
Uh-huh.
you get your leather, it's slightly damp, and you heat these metal stamps. So you've got a male and a female, and you emboss it, and you get these beautiful raised designs in the leather. Uh, I don't think this was done that way, but what I'm saying is that there was a taste for embossed leather where it's raised up above the surface.